Hi friends! I'm really excited to take you on a journey with me in creating a steampunk themed illustration. For this first part, I will go over how I developed the overall design, the process, and the tools I used. So grab some tea or coffee and let's jump into the age of steam. So I have a blank sheet of paper, which is absolutely terrifying, obviously. Luckily, I had already made a thumbnail. I'm going to turn that into an illustration. So I'm going to pause it for a second just to give you a little bit of context as to how I'm approaching this basically. So I am transferring the thumbnail into the piece of paper, but at the same time I have these airships that I need to put in the piece. I need to think about how to place them in a way that compositionally makes sense. Here's the balcony, and then in the background is this whole area or sky with airships. Now I have to decide where to put those airships in this composition, and the reason why I'm being extra careful about it is because composition is everything. It doesn't matter how much hard work you put into the drawing the details or the coloring, like if the composition isn't good, it's not good. The purpose of this piece is the figure. She's the primary element and everything else will be background, like literally background, but it is secondary. So that's what I have to decide right now as I'm drawing. It doesn't look like much, but there are a lot of executive decisions that need to be made at this early stage that are really important, and that's part of why I wanted to show this portion of the process too, because putting down the composition is also really important, and it can kill a piece if you don't put enough time into it. I certainly have had that problem before. It's important for me to tell you exactly what's going on in this stage, even though there's not much on paper, but mentally there is a lot of thinking through about how do I want these airships positioned in the sky and where the eye can travel very circularly, another invented word, but you get what I mean. One of those composition styles is actually the golden ratio. The golden ratio has kind of a nautilus form or kind of spiral. I wouldn't be surprised if this illustration ended up with a semi-golden ratio kind of thing, but I guess we'll see right now. So I finished sketching it out. There's a few things that I haven't made up my mind, like the size of this airship and also the distribution of the other airships. The fact that I can't seem to make up my mind probably means that I need to step away and take a break. In the meantime, I'm going to figure out the designs of all these airships, including the figure's outfit and this bird character. Also, if you're wondering if this is the final drawing, it's not. It's gonna be just a sketch. Once I figure out all of these elements, I will be able to redraw it over a lightbox, and that'll be the cleaner version, because yeah, this is already kind of a mess. I have tea stains over it. It's not gonna work. Before sitting down to design these airships, I must first gather my reference material from my trusty bookshelf. In the future, I'd actually like to do a tour of my book collection for those interested in what I use for reference as an artist, and also to talk about my favorite history books. With the books selected, I gathered my drawing things and will proceed to go over the conceptualizing portion of this drawing process. So I pulled some of the reference books that I tend to always use for Victorian stuff. One of them is this Victorian fashion book. It's really cool. They pull actual outfits from fashion plates of the time. The other book is this goods book. It's basically a ton of items of the period in the 1800s. These books are both published by Dover, and they actually sell a ton of reference books for a variety of historical topics. So I've had these two books for since high school, and they're always useful to refer back to. The other thing that I use is Pinterest. So I'm using it off of my iPad. I've already made a Pinterest board with steampunk themed things. Google says steampunk, a genre of science fiction that has a historical setting and typically features steam-powered machinery rather than advanced technology. You're combining a sci-fi world in a very specific historical setting. Therefore, there are some constraints that creators need to work around when it comes to world building inside of a steampunk genre, and one of those things is the melding of technologies, but in a very specific sort of way, and that also includes the aesthetics. The aesthetics should definitely be very Victorian-esque or Edwardian. With that said, I'll be creating these airship designs, the costuming, all of that with those world-building constraints in mind. Is it time to make another cup of tea? Ideally, I want hot chocolate, but it's noon. Hi, this is me from the future, just like 3 days later. I managed to finish designing the figures' dresses. Dresses, plural, because I couldn't decide which one. Here are some of the options. I was debating between an Edwardian-esque design or Victorian, and I finally decided for opting for the Victorian. Mostly because of all the frills and bows, and just, it's all very nice to draw. I also designed the bird character that is going to be sitting on the railing. My first concept for it was this, and then I realized I wanted a bigger character that would take up more room. So as I was designing a new bird, Jonathan suggested I do a dodo bird, and I thought, what a great idea. However, I would come up with the problem that a dodo bird would not be able to stand up into the railing in this illustration, so I devised a steampunk styled backpack for the dodo bird where it would come out. And in trying to explain all of this to Jonathan, yeah, I animated it. Here it is. So now that we have the airship designs, the figure's dress, and the dodo bird character figured out, we can now start jump into the actual drawing, which is the funnest part of all of this. So I'm really excited to jump into it. Let's get started. My perspective, I really want to master it, so this illustration is actually an attempt at practicing, and I'm hoping that I haven't made any big mistakes. Fingers crossed. Good morning. Today is the next day. I spent a long time drawing yesterday, so I got a lot of stuff done. I was able to draw all of the major elements. Now all I have left are 8 airships and just sky. Yeah, but I also have plans with my friends in the evening, so I really only have like 2 hours to draw today, but I'm gonna try to knock out more airships, and hopefully tomorrow, which is Thursday, I'll be able to finish the entire drawing. Yeah. So far my thoughts on this is excitement. I was a little nervous with perspective issues. I think I resolved them, but like how it always is, I'll see these problems pop up once I'm fully done with the picture. I mostly drink tea, but I'm trying to drink lemon water with chia seeds, and it's nasty. Alright, so we are almost done with this piece. All that's left is to finish detailing the foreground. And the reason why I left that for the last thing is because since it's in the right side and also the foreground, I knew it was going to eventually be smeared if I did this part first. What needs to be added are the railings, and instead of me just drawing them directly on here, knowing myself I'm going to mess it up a few times and destroy a lot of this detailing, what I'll do instead is draw it on another piece of paper, but I will first trace it onto the light box and work on top of the new paper. And then once I'm able to scan everything, I'll be able to add them together digitally. Alright, so of course I would make my life so much harder by dealing with circles again. Ovals are literally so hard to do when you include perspective. So instead of spending hours and hours trying to map these accurately, I've drawn this, so on the computer I'm going to duplicate it and then skew it. And that is it for the first part of the steampunk illustration. Stay tuned for part 2, where I will go over the digital side of the process, aka the coloring and final touches. Make sure you're subscribed with the bell button turned on so you can get a notification when the second part comes out. So I'll see you next week, and thanks for watching!